Hi, I'm Vicky Sale. I'm the Operations Manager at my CWA, and I'm joined today by DI Claire Jesson from Crewe Police. And today we're talking about bail. So first of all, Claire, could you tell us what bail is?
When someone is arrested for an offence, with police have a number of options. Obviously, someone can be released without charge. Someone can be released on bail while we make further inquiries. Or if we charge someone with an offence, they can be released on bail to appear at court at a later date. Or finally, we can keep someone in custody, which is referred to as being on remand. So bail basically means that they will be called to attend at a police station or a court to answer the charges at a later date.
Are there any particular conditions that can be set with bail, and how do you decide how those conditions are set?
So if there's a risk involved towards any victims, we would look to implement bail conditions. So especially in domestic abuse cases, the majority of domestic abuse cases, there would be bail conditions set. As with anything, we have to make sure that they're reasonable and we can justify them. And the conditions can be a whole manner of things. So some of the most common ones would be non-contact with a victim, not to contact them by themselves or by other parties, not to enter a home address or not to attend at perhaps a marital home, not to go to certain streets, not to contact witnesses, all sorts of things like that. Each set of bail conditions should be unique to the individual case, and the officer should look to discuss those conditions with the victim to make sure that we are safeguarding them as best as possible.
What would you say to a victim whose perpetrator has been released and they're very, very frightened?
First of all, we'd say obviously that's a really, really common feeling, and we are here to help, and we are here to guide you through every step of the way, working in partnership with our partners, and ultimately our job is to make you feel safe and secure, and bail conditions are a really positive way of us being able to do that. So the officers will spend a lot of time speaking with victims about what their concerns are, what bits they're worried about, and the bail conditions should reflect them fears. So things I said about like non-contact, if they're worried about a perpetrator coming back to get them, if they're worried about a perpetrator's family making threats towards them, we can manage all that via the use of bail conditions. And when someone is given bail conditions for a domestic abuse investigation, they are heavily monitored. You know, so for example, if someone is given a curfew to stay at a home address, the police will regularly go round and check they are complying. And if someone breaks them conditions, then the perpetrator would be liable for arrest and go back into custody. And then there's a potential then that we would look to remand them, and that means to keep them in custody to go back before a court. So I would always say that we completely acknowledge how scary reporting domestic abuse is, but we're here to help, and we have a whole range of tools that we can use to keep people safe.
What can I do as a victim if my perpetrator breaks their bail conditions?
The key thing would be to report it straight away. So the first thing would be for the victim to ring 999 if they're in any danger, or 101. A lot of the time they will have an allocated officer that they can ring and speak to, so we'd want an early report of any breach so we can take the necessary actions and obviously ensure that the victim is safe throughout. And I think the big thing we'd want to stress as well is that the bail condition is something that the police put on. It's not on a victim to feel guilty about reporting a breach of bail. You know, they're things that we've put into place, and that's made very clear to perpetrators when they come into custody.
What do you think is the most important thing that a victim of domestic abuse needs to understand about bail?
The key thing we would want them to remember is that bail is, and any prosecution by the police is there to try and keep them safe. You know, we appreciate that it's not a situation that anyone would want to find themselves in, and it's a really difficult situation, but it's our way of managing their safety. You know, ultimately our job is to keep people safe, and that's our main motivation throughout. I think as well that it's important for people to recognise that if someone wasn't immediately charged but on bail, it doesn't mean that we don't believe what's being said. It just means that there's potential inquiries that we need to do before we're in a situation to charge that we can't manage to do while someone's in custody. And the same with when someone's on bail to court. It's really important that victims understand that that doesn't mean that an abuser is just free to carry on abusing them. You know, if the bail conditions are there, it's to keep people safe and to protect them moving forward. So all they have to do is pick up the phone and report that to us. If they didn't feel they could report it to the police, they can report it to any partner agencies, or someone can ring on their behalf. The other thing as well is, because we proactively manage and check the bail conditions, you know, a lot of the time that we might pick up breaches without a victim having to report it. And I think that's really important, to make it feel that it's not all on the victim to have to ring all the time. You know, we are playing our part in making sure people adhere to them conditions.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Claire.